Hello everybody, my name's Dave Calley, owner of Dimension Design Build Remodel, and today we have Jonathan Sinovic, head of our design and sales team, here to talk to you about process. So people want to understand, after they place that phone call to us, what happens? What's the next step?
Yeah, I think that's always a classic question when you think about anything that we do in life. And so we've streamlined that process here at Dimension Inc. We actually take your initial phone call and give you a call back within usually 20 to 24 hours to 40 hours at the most is our time frame. And we're going to call back and we're going to ask you questions about your project. I think people are sometimes offended when we call back and start asking about their project. And I think the reason for it is you're taking a little bit off guard. You thought you were just going to call and show up and we're just going to give kind of an estimate. And we really want to get to know you a little bit before we get out there. And the reason for that is we want to come prepared to actually answer your questions. So we go through a couple of kind of specific questions. And I think one of them we get asked a lot about is the budget question. We ask you if you've established a budget. I think that's hard for you viewing this to actually maybe have that budget, but you do have a number in mind. And why that number in mind, letting us know, is not so we can get to it, which is, I think, always what everybody thinks. Right. Oh, you tell the contractor.
They're going to spend it all.
They're going to spend it all. I think it's to make sure that we align what you're asking to be done at your home with what we can provide.
Yeah, and I think when people hear that question, they think we're saying, how much is this going to cost? And that's not really what we're asking. I mean, in the end, we actually won't know that until we go through our process because there are so many variables involved with this. But what we're really asking is, what do you want to, or what can you afford to spend, not how much you think it's going to cost.
Yeah, so I think that's great. Our next step after that is once we do it, we're going to set a time for one of our team members to get out to you and see the project, and we're going to spend that first couple minutes just listening. A lot of times, we don't want to jump into you and tell you what you can expect based on what that initial phone call had. So we're going to take some time to listen to what your project, see where you're at currently in the process, where you're at. I mean, have you been thinking about this since a month ago, or have you been thinking about this for 5 years? And kind of what are the pain points that brought you to this decision? So be prepared to have kind of some thoughts about how you got here. I mean, I think where you want to go and how long you want to be there. I think is another one of those classic questions, because we're going to determine whether or not that 1 to 2 year plan, or that 2 to 5 year plan, or that 5 to 10 year plan all influences what we may suggest as the next steps to that. To getting what you're looking for done for the price that you'd like to pay for it.
Right. And I think, sometimes, unfortunately, what people want to do and what average costs just don't align up. And that does happen, and we can't always give people the answers that they're probably looking for, but it's just, we want to have an honest conversation with, our customers. We don't want to waste their time if what their budget is and what they want to do just don't align up. But that's really a big part of trying to see if we move forward or not.
Right. I think we're going to come with tools prepared to help you answer those questions too. So you don't feel like you have to have all the answers. We're going to show you what costs around the area are for the particular project that you're working in. We're going to talk about more about our process, the tail end of the construction end. But more importantly, we're going to start talking about how we get to a common goal. And what I mean by that is we believe in the design process. And design process is something that isn't something that someone sketches on a piece of paper while we're sitting in the room and puts a number to it. Because it's really hard for 4 of us to line that up and have 4 of the same thoughts. So what we like to do is take you through a preliminary design agreement that is going to actually take you through a very quick but concise placement of your thoughts and goals to the budget you're trying to get to. And we're going to do that with 2 or 3 different plans, not just a plan.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, I mean, other people will say, well, Joe's construction service, is going to charge me $500, and what happens with that is they come up with a real quick, rough and gruff plan, and they throw it down on a piece of paper and put some numbers to it and go, hey, here you go. And well, that's not quite what we do. And you were kind of getting to the reasons why we don't do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly because we don't believe we're apples to apples, because we don't really know. You don't know what you can get for that dollar amount yet. And to be fair, a lot of times we don't know what's in your head. You've been thinking about this probably for more than just the hour that we'll be with you right there. So we're trying to extract that in the hour that we're going to be with you. And to be fair, in order to do that, we need to have a couple more meetings with you. We got to get some ideas down on a piece of paper and be concise. So really in this initial meeting, what our goals are is to establish what the scope is. You know, we're going to establish what we believe a regional budget to achieve that layer of scope is going to be. And then we're going to put a dollar amount to doing some preliminary design drawings that are going to be, we're not going to say they're more than basic, but they're definitely not permittable.
Right.
So it's kind of a nice hybrid, but it gives our team enough to actually put a real number to that so that you're not guessing at that point.
Right. And you know, we've gone the full-blown, you know, kind of the more traditional design build avenue, and that can be scary for people because it's, you know, in that you're putting down a big chunk of money, you know, it could be $5,000, $10,000 depending on the project, and then the designer just goes ahead and designs towards it, and in the end it kind of comes off the construction contract, and you're kind of roped in through the whole process, and that can be pretty intimidating for people. So we're trying to come up with sort of a hybrid of this to make it more comfortable for people, so they don't have to bite, you know, eat the whole apple at once. So it's about a process and taking baby steps to, you know, hopefully get to that end goal, because in the end we do want to build this project as well.
I think it's establishing trust too. I think it's hard
Right.
to get that trust on just one meeting and know that you want to make that level of commitment, like you were saying.
Right.
I think when we talk about smaller chunks in the initial startup, I think more importantly, we used to get asked, I think, a lot with what's my value in just committing to you right now? Like, if I spend all of this money and I find out I can't achieve the goal I'm looking for, I'm wasting money. And so I think we put a lot of time and effort into our process over the years. And we feel right now that strongly that the market right now is looking for, you guys right now out there are looking for a partner and not someone just telling you what to do. And so we're looking to establish that partnership. And at the end of the day, we actually give a good stop point. So
Right.
if for some reason the partnership, just like sometimes they're just not good fits to the end, you haven't invested half your life savings into that just to find out that you can't do it. We're taking a small chunk. Now we're clear. We're concise on what we're going to get. The expectations are actually set, and then moving forward, it's really a lot simpler than
Yeah, so we have you, you know, if we decide that we are a good fit, budgets seem to align with what they want to do, we do the preliminary design agreement, and that is a smaller sum of money. And the end goal there is, again, to analyze, you know, usually 2 or 3 different versions of a floor plan, and then to narrow it down to one. You know, and within that, we do all the research and everything else that's necessary to, you know, make that plan work, and also make sure that we're covering all the parameters that the customer wants, because every customer is different. And again, it is a process, and, you know, I mean, typically, what do we, 5 to 6 meetings that whole preliminary design phase takes, from doing all the drawings, doing the site measurement, to actually putting hard numbers to that. So once we get done with that, we actually come up with a real construction number. Now, we do have allowances that will have to be in there, because at that point we aren't picking final finishes yet. That comes later, but the goal is to get to some drawings that we can actually put real numbers, hard numbers to. And then at that point, we say to our customers, you know, do we want to move forward? And if they don't, you know, that's a place where they can hop off, and we don't just say see you later. They still get all the plans that we've created to that point, and, you know, they can do with those plans as they please. Now, obviously, we hope that, you know, they continue through the whole design build process, but that, you know, leads us to the construction agreement, which is where then we finish the drawings, the selections, and then do the construction of the project.
I think that's important, what Dave just said there, on the fact that when you look at this, the drawings are going to be yours. So a unique identifier for us is that we hand over the drawings to you. They're yours to own, should you choose not to move forward. And so you're making an investment
Right.
into getting something that we can actually put some real numbers to, so you don't have a crazy budget that just keeps growing, or scope that keeps on going.
Yeah, and unless you actually do those drawings, it's all a big guess. And you know, we really think that it is the best model for our customers. And most design build firms, you know, will have a kind of a something like that, but typically you'll pay to have the drawings done, but you don't get the drawings if you decide to walk away. You know, here we're trying to be fair and honest and open, and give our customers the best value that they can. And you know, in the end, we don't want them to feel like they're somehow boxed into, you know, going all the way down this path, because these tend to be, I mean, the dollar amounts in these projects that we do, master baths, kitchens, additions, you know, up to new home construction can be pretty big. So we want to, you know, just try and get them there in smaller pieces, so we kind of develop that relationship along the way.
And so when as we're wrapping up here, some things to keep in mind is, we'd actually love it if we weren't the first one in the door. I don't mean that because we don't want to be the first one, but we'd love for you to hear some different aspects of what other people are doing. So if you're searching out right now, the key is that you have to establish, and it's hard, believe me, it's hard in the Milwaukee area right now. Everybody's going to come and say why they do it better. And for us, it's really not so much about why we do it better as so much the process that we take you through, the journey, the excitement,
Right.
and making sure that we're connecting what you are hoping to get done with a budget you're able to do it in, and making sure that that's reasonable. And so we thank you for the opportunity,
Yeah.
and we look forward to meeting you. Give us a call.
Yeah, thanks.